Okay, connecting to cloud server. I think we're good to go. All right, so the way this is going to look is in the first part of the class, we are going to talk about HTML, and then we'll have a lunch break, and then we come back and go ahead with CSS. And so what do you know about HTML? Just throwing it out there. What is it?
Markup language.
Great. Yes. What does it mean?
What does the word mean, or what does it do?
It's like, so
In general.
basically, if you say hypertext markup language, it means two things that are kind of embedded in this whole word. It's like hypertext because. Yeah. Because it's just text. Like a skeleton of the website. Yeah, exactly. And basically the core of it is that you can link web pages together and then create this amazing black hole that we call the internet. And it is a markup language because it marks up the structure of the website. So do you know, can you have a website just with HTML?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, who votes yes? Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't function like manually.
No, it's like you can have the website itself. It's
content of
yeah.
CSS is how it looks.
Yeah, exactly.
The layer on.
Yeah, so you can have it, but it's going to be extremely unstimulating and very outdated looking, but you can do it. And basically, the base idea with HTML is that you have these tags that are then going to make up the entire website. And before we actually take a dive into oh my God, where is my cursor? Into the tags themselves, we should have a very small amount of talk about the HTML documentary, because it's, if you want to think about it that way, it's actually made up as like a tree, and you can actually just open this and look at your own monitor. But as you can see here, we have this like very well-defined hierarchy where on the outside we have a body tag which encompasses everything that is going to show up on the web page. And then inside this body tag, we have two of these outer dips where one is ID'd as content and then one is ID'd as nav. And then you can see if I mark this up and draw it up as a tree, then this is the ancestor. And then these are the siblings of that ancestor. And then if I go even deeper, then what I see in there is that I have a heading, a paragraph, another paragraph, and an HR tag. And you can see that show up here in this. And in this characterization of the documentary, these would be siblings because they share a common parent. So this is not necessarily something that you have to worry about too much at the moment, but it is probably going to come in handy once we get a little bit more into CSS and especially JavaScript. Yes, just a second. All right, so we have a nice little exercise here for you. Right here. And I just want to take 10 minutes for you to kind of look at this code and then answer these questions. And maybe if you have time, you can also draw up the tree structure of this code. Okay?
And VS Code, right?
Of your choice. You can use VS Code. That's actually a good long-term solution, but if you just want to like hack it together super fast, then you could also use CodePen. Oh, Wi-Fi. That's very good. Yeah. I think, hold on, I'm just not sure that I'm still recording. But I should, right? Yes. Oh, yes. No, it's the part of yeah. Yes.
Sorry. Or should I complicate this? Oh yeah, I just like oh no, yes, yeah, of course, yes. But we have yes, I like this one, but the machine. Yes, there is. The invitation I want to be. But you can I like the first yeah. You remember?
Only you can research it. Also, there is embedded or just yeah, but because the brain is like yeah, no, I'll do that. Now that's
Oh, good.
I only have like this. Anyone who doesn't want to answer the question, you don't want to answer.
Did we need to find this?
Yeah, yes. All right, so we have 4 questions, and luckily that we have 4 units of tables maybe. So how about we start off with this table for question number 1?
So I think that div is the parent of the paragraph element, because it's like a box and it stores it inside. And then number 2 is
No, but very good, and it's actually helps you a little bit with the indentation, because you can see that this goes into this, goes into this. So it's a nice little visual aid. Okay, so table number 2, question number 2.
Me?
Anyway.
Just so second child of that element is your.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Number 3.
Oh. Try the first one.
Hello.
What?
What is the certain
Yes.
first child? Hello.
Exactly. And then
The fourth question.
yes.
The key element of the text flow of siblings of the family.
That's 3 siblings. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like hello world. Or
Hello. Evening spell.
Yes.
Yeah, those three second. Yeah.
Very good. Did anyone draw up the structure by chance?
Can we put anchor? Can we use like if it's anchor and the child is UN, or should we do another way, like have a UN and then link inside child inside this anchor? Or I can, yeah, not understand the structure.
Also, I mean,
I would think that can we use, for example, UN? So is it correct to use anchor and inside UN element with links? Yeah, with the Lee, or should we use UN or then Lee, or inside every Lee should we use anchor?
so you could do either way, really, because here, as I'm sort of imagining it, this could be some sort of drop-down menu that doesn't necessarily lead anywhere, but just does the drop-down. And if you kind of forget about this part a little bit and add some anchors into the list element, then what happens, right, is that you just have a list of links.
Yeah, and actually, like if you're wondering sometimes, like, can it be like, can you make some tag as a like child element of another tag? You can check it on MDN.
Yeah.
It has like lists of possible children.
MDM.
Yes, it's the Mozilla Developer Network. It has
MDN.
some excellent documentation. I linked to one of those down here. So it kind of looks like this, and then you can click around and look at the HTML, and then here you can actually look at some tags and have some interactive tutorials and whatnot. So this is actually a pretty good resource. Yes. So with that kind of segue into the HTML tags. Basically, the way we would sort of categorize HTML tags is whether they are semantic or not. And most of the time, we prefer, if we can, to actually start using the semantic tags because it helps with machine readability and also with accessibility. And also, if you're working with other people, it just helps to kind of signify to them what you had in mind in terms of what the purpose of the section should be. So as you can see, we have this header, nav, and footer. And these tags are very descriptive in a sense that you know what a header is, you know what a nav is, and you know what a footer is. So it's just very semantic in that way, I guess. That's the best word for that. Yeah. And then you have the standard tags, which you probably actually see a bit more It's for example, the div, which would be a very general container, and then you have the paragraph tag, the span tag, which is another type of general container, and then the H1, H2, H3, so the heading tags. And so basically, if you want to be like really semantic, then what you would strive for is to use as little amount of divs as humanly possible, and just use, you know, the other types of tags like the section, the article, and these kinds of things. But I feel like this is something that comes with practice, and something that you just kind of want to keep in mind and check yourself as you're writing the code, and ask yourself if this is a tag that could be switched out for something more semantic. So yeah, and then this kind of segues into the question of accessibility, which we do think starts with good semantics, because if you're using these tags like very mindfully, that helps a lot for, like, for example, screen readers to read the page, and then the person using the assistive technology is going to be more, you know, helped by the fact that your page has a very nice and very well-defined structure. With that said, you don't really need to reinvent the wheel all the time necessarily. So in this, where's my cursor again? Why does this keep happening to me? So yeah, if you look at this article, which I would recommend that you do, here it shows, for example, setting up a simple non-semantic div. And here I give an ID. We will talk about this a little bit more in CSS. But here I say, okay, this is percent loaded, and then I assign a role to it, which is progress bar. And then I say what the value should be, what kind of minimum value can this element take, and then what kind of maximum can it take. And then I can use some JavaScript to manipulate that if I want to. But if I want to make it a little bit easier on myself and the developer I might be working with, then I could also just use the progress tag from HTML that just comes nicely boxed into the language. Okay, so with that said, we have this nice little exercise where you are basically just asked to look at this code, and then maybe look at what these tags are exactly on MDN, and just maybe give it a think if some of this could be switched to a more semantic tag. So I am going to give you 10 minutes also, and if you can maybe just look at this code and then come up with some sort of takeaway that you thought was interesting about it, about the structure, about the tags that are being used in this, and then we can discuss. Okay.
Back in 2000. Let's use some of the. And then over the years, so now. And then naturally, so the Cadillac is that out. Yeah, maybe yeah, but this is kind of so this one, I don't know, maybe. Are there any negative to school now? So one thing, one that's very long. In January, in some things where you say, I think this thing will be more sort of but they usually haven't signed. So I don't know what somewhere.
We should change it. Yes. They're not saying it. So then you can come like. Like there's only one name. There is only one name. But it's like they. What is the difference between the section It's the code of the page.
Well, what did you say? Oh, I see, yeah, okay, fine.
It qualifies as a type, so.
I think
But in this context, it means the element itself package. I'm just gonna fix
Yeah.
one.
Oh, bigger. I have also done the go lines, but it doesn't show that the actual.
As always. We should make like sketches for SQL.
Yeah, exactly. We should. Maybe actually, so, what?
I guess. The schedule, not the coding part. On my project. Yes. Yeah, this is like I get information like otherwise you're accessory. Yeah, just hoping we follow the bunch of these. The frameworks. All right, everyone, let's actually take a 15-minute break. And then we'll come back and discuss the second question. That's what we have. Yeah, I like to say every time we go to Thomas's office. It is really nice. Place. It's the farm work. Oh, I was volunteering the goat. And goat was actually it's fine again. Actually, I went to Opus today, so I stayed with my and it was so disgusting after the conference. That's hard.
Yeah.
You're connected to LinkedIn. They were just part.
And first, with friendly voice for 3 minutes.
Actually, although we had beers before at the conference. It's going to be just there was also Eric Johnson from Amazon. He's super fun about it. But he doesn't have this guy's here. He just used to play. He's like, how you do? How you drive? I'm like, yeah, should go to that. That it is, and we actually all went to the same hostel, so we stayed at the same hostel. And she was in England, in the common room, and I was in the literature. And she was like, oh, there is a living room. Yeah, and so she moved to this nice. She was like, oh, yeah, it's really nice. Eventually, change. Go to the shower, like, very small. So, yeah. He was okay. Yeah, it was really nice. Like if you, like if you're around, it's still. It's not his stuff. He just put it in. It's really nice to like. That's true. And it's 5 times faster.
You get the hugging.
It's not that's trade means also very much to yes, and I was like, so it's emits 6 hours. No, and the airport was pretty far. I mean, you could just go on vacation for 3 weeks at the car, just see. Free parking. And it's on very, and if you go by bus, it's only 15 minutes. Very cheap. And actually, you can get access at SAS to go to Copenhagen. From yes, you can get like a month's ticket. Really? Yes, because there are many people who have businesses like either or they go to Copenhagen like every morning. And you can drive it.
Yeah.
If you divide it, it's after the number, it's like ridiculous. And 6 a.m. and 7 a.m. flights. I was right at 6 a.m. flight because it had to be this small like 8 or 9. 8:30 actually. So I took the 6 a.m. flight. It was almost really fast. And then you just come, take a train. And 10 minutes you're like in the downtown.
So this answer is wrong, and then
Also, you do the same. Security
okay, so that's one.
It's not like a bus station.
That's wrong.
I'm really functional. I was before. And when I came there, I was the first person in the whole night who entered the airport boardwalk. And when I opened the door, everyone's like woke up. And when you enter boardwalk, that's a check-in card. And there is security like right here. Seconds to the wait area. And a couple of before it's the domestic flight. So I think that we go to the fast track. So like,
The other
so I really like.
Like takes permission from all
Well, I wonder how long it is, because from Oslo to Copenhagen, it's 35 minutes. From Aarhus to Copenhagen. It's like talking about I'm not. Yeah, like when we fly out to Bordeaux and like we just take off and like take off. And then we fly for 10 minutes and then we just either like but it's really not expensive. And so
I'm so happy with this song.
there is nice water. Did you take this water? Like just like one.
That would be. Let's get on.
You know, to go from Copenhagen and back costs it costs 600.
It's like.
It's like 3 days, 4 days before the flight. And if you book like 2 months prior, yes, you actually. There are also
So did you go how? When they open the book, you know, steady there.
right there, it's like London, like the London. There was the 78 Plane. No, I mean from Oslo to London.
Lunch and.
It is better than this place. There were yeah.
Yeah, there was so much fun.
There were
I need to come in for a lot for you.
there are better. Yeah, I think there
But they were okay.
are.
Yeah, the ease of eating.
Yeah.
That's, you can eat without like having to being that open, which is very nice. Which is one of the things that was one of the negatives of like that. Like, I love this because I love we're really down there. Going through. I mean, we have some volunteers working in. But it's the work environment there. It's just the way they use stuff.
Yes.
You know, the guys. Like doing that. Organizations. And I mean, they do this like party. Yeah, I just saw, I remember seeing a video where like they're hiring. It's different, but also language they use and they didn't go through the bias, training. I mean, there's one way. It's okay.
Yes, in Germany, yes.
I'll give grades.
That's in Germany. I mean, in Germany, you it's perhaps.
Summer and autumn.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Germany says. I also need to find type one. And then. It's also.
I was there when the fires were there. And forest is there. On fire and this one. It smelled nice because it was. It's a very. So which one would you pursue or no? That's all.
Okay, let's continue, and then hopefully the others will find their way back slowly. What's the other? Okay, so any thoughts on this? So was there anything that you kind of noticed or something that you think about this particular snippet? Any questions, doubts?
And we take what we use, and we can tell how this text. And we state what we tell.
Yeah, instead of the text.
What are you doing, my friend? Oh, on browser, you need to download. No. Yeah, but you should go find the file, click on it, and just download the my code, go live. What is the name of the extension? What is it, go live? Live extension? Yeah, live server. Yeah, there is install live server. Maybe. Yeah, it's way easier watching the live server. Yeah, because it doesn't have live server, you should go back to the file. Yeah, there you go. You go back to the file here. Okay, now we just go live. So he added a bit of progress to it. What we can show live. So,
We have only
You can always tire people.
Yes, it's so you can put it.
Why not? Anybody ask me what you're right? Now, I wouldn't say I would make a true word. That would be my programming name, legal name.
Okay. So we have this code, and here I drew up the documentary. And let's just briefly go through what this whole thing is. So outside you have an HTML tag. Does everyone know why we need this?
To show that what we're working for with HTML, that is HTML.
Like a rule structure, the first rule that we need to state that this HTML document.
Exactly. Yes, and then inside we have two main sections, the head and the body. Anyone? Any thoughts about this?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand the question. Would you repeat?
Is there anything that so what do we know about the head and the body inside the HTML tag?
It's a part one that specifies the language,
Meta information.
yeah, title. Yes, also we put the script, not script, just
Yeah, the style sheets and any external resources that we want to load. Exactly.
Exactly. Well, basically everything that you want to show on the browser will go into the body, and then the head is just like the title that shows up there, like
The name of the page.
Exactly.
There is also
Yeah.
a description, which is also important.
Yes.
Yes. When you send links to other people and you don't have description, since it's gonna show up some mess, like this app is created this.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you want your page to perform well on the search engine, you need to also take this.
Yes. And then can that happen that I have an HTML document and then I have multiple body tags? Correct. So just very important. If you see code where there are multiple body tags or multiple head tags, then be very suspicious. And in my experience, it can especially happen with the head, because there is the semantic HTML tag called header. And then sometimes it just goes like this. And then inside the head, we have the title, which you said very correctly that it shows up in the tab, like up there. So we know what kind of stuff we would have on the page. And then in the body tag, we have a whole bunch of content. So first we start off with a div. And then if, for example, we wanted to be a little bit more semantic than this, and we imagine a larger web page where this would be a very well-defined section, exactly, or an article, then we would be able to switch this out. And then inside the div, if we go a little bit inside, we see an H1 tag. What's that?
The most important thing.
Yes,
the only one, each one.
Yes. yes. So
Search engine.
exactly. And this is another thing that I feel would need to be called out, because we have the H1, H2, H3, H4, H5,
A6.
H6, yes, which I almost never use, but it exists regardless. So these are first and foremost for, you know, the search engines, and then for the users to see what level of heading we have. This is not for styling. It can happen, you know, that you think to yourself that, oh, I want like a massive heading as like a level 2 type of heading, and then you might feel compelled to use H1 instead. Don't do that. Just instead, you know, just grab the H2 and then start it with CSS and then have the same exact effect. It's super important that you keep this in mind, that the levels of headings, that's primarily for, again, the definition of the structure and not the style. And then we also have an H tag up here, which has an href attribute, which is just going to go somewhere and shows if I click the Hack Your Future link, then where should it point? And then inside we have, well, inside this other div, we have another div, which has a class, which is something that we are going to talk a little bit more about in the CSS section. And this is Hello World Container. Now, we haven't talked about CSS all that much, but the reason why you would have such a div with a well-defined class is just to kind of group things together so that you can go ahead and style this entire container. Because if you imagine removing this entire div up here, so just div, and then you leave the content, then it would be quite difficult for you to define a style for these portions on the page. Okay,
Or just try to for every time, just the same.
like what do you mean, inline or
No, in CSS you can just style paragraph tag
Yeah.
and then other paragraph, so it's just inconvenient.
yes,
It's gonna
but
load, it's gonna load up the weight of your app. And when you build bigger apps, it's just gonna put more pressure on your machine.
yes, and besides, if I just have these and I say, okay, every paragraph text should have like a blue background or whatever, then it would apply to every single paragraph text in the app or in the website.
Need the right
Yeah.
class.
Yeah. Yeah, but then, yeah, but that's a lot of work. And yeah, like Alina said, it kind of loads up the app a little bit, and we are generally lazy to do that. So we just, you know, dump everything to div or section or an article and then style that and call it a day. And then that's just all very lovely. All right, and then inside we have these two paragraph texts, and then that's it. Now, another thing that's super important about tags is that they have a beginning and an end, unless they don't. So basically, this div starts here, it ends here. And then everything that's inside also has a beginning tag and an ending tag, where the ending tag, you can identify this by the low slash. And this is important because you begin a tag, you tell HTML that, oh, hey, now I want an H1 heading. And then HTML needs to know when that stops. Because if I don't have this H1 right here, then HTML is going to be like, okay, well, then all of this is an H1 heading. That's great. It's a bit intense to look at this amount of H1 headings. So yeah, so beginning, and we do have a couple of self-closing tags, for example, the image tag, but this is something that you would maybe learn as you go along with your own like builds and the homework and other exercises. But normally, if we have a tag that has some sort of content that's inside, then it has a closing tag to tell HTML that, okay, this is where it's at.
Good.
Any questions?
Can I ask what the difference between div and section? When I use div and when I use section, isn't it like there's no wrong answer? Like you,
It depends.
I think some dangerous also. I have a feeling it's getting complicated.
It actually depends, because like section is a semantic element. If you want to define that this, like for example, you have like a huge page about animals, and you have a page about like lions or tigers or like, I don't know, cats, and so you can use section just to show that this section is dedicated to one like topic. But you can have different divs inside of section to style it. And actually, like, it is really bad practice, but you can use div instead of sections, but don't do it. Just if you have one certain section, use section tag, and inside it, you can use divs to style it.
Okay.
So for example, you have a queue chart,
Okay.
and you have different parts of it dedicated to different topics. For these different parts, you would use section to show like the machine and search engines that were in some programs for like blind people, just to show that this section is dedicated to certain topic, and everything inside it is about this topic.
Okay.
So it is like nowadays, most companies need to be like accessible and user friendly as well, because there are many different people. It's like accessibility doesn't always mean that's what people who are like handicapped. There are many people who are like who can see well, for example, and they use some apps to help them read web pages. So these semantic elements have for these purposes, and also for search engine optimization, if you want your website to perform well. Fair enough?
Yeah. Yeah, good job.
Yes. So now what we are going to do, basically up until lunch, you will have, let's say 10-15 minutes and look at the elements on here. Take a look at what it does and try to explain to each other. And then we will have lunch at 2. And try to maybe pick a couple that are a bit more exotic, not necessarily, you know, just the paragraphs and all of these. So those are definitely important, but maybe a couple like the block quote, what is that? And you know, just dive a bit deeper into this and then explain to your fellow students. Yes.
So it's a lot of text content. Should we go down, or how further should we go for the elements to read it? How long do we go to read it?
I mean,
All the way down?
I would say probably the like yeah, maybe up until here are the most used ones, and then it gets a little bit more exotic the more you scroll down. But yeah, if you have time, you can do this, because there are a whole bunch of texts here that I personally have not seen before. So that's exciting.
Okay, so basically, as far as you can go in 15 minutes, right?
Exactly.
Yep.
We're doing lunch and then right in I'll just quickly get outside and do like 2 photos. Okay. We always forget. I just never, and I don't want to be absolutely to go in the class again. I'm just gonna take 2
bunches on like what you say for the name, but then sometimes it's too perfect. Yeah, let's try third.
Yeah. I'm gonna do this. Let's see, 25.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we can also just say, it'll be in here, be ready by 25.
Yeah.
No? You have this. Explain to me what. Okay, what's the difference? So we go the microphone, so we go like why do we so we double root and down the problem. Why do you use base? We just you are what's the thing I think that you use a local picture. Yeah. So we need a page to represent the URL.
I'm gonna go back to phone. I'm just gonna scroll until I get to it. Oh, I lost it. Where's legend details? I want to find a breakpoint. BR. That's the only one I care about. It's somewhere. I saw it on mine. It works on my computer. Why does yours look different? It must be somewhere like Ruby. It's good that they have it.
There it is.
Where is it? Where is it? Yes.
Now you found it there.
That's all I needed.
A good BR.
But because you were looking for an example of going too close. Just like
Yeah.
Okay, did you take a look at the application?
I heard.
One, two, tell that most of them. I wish I could write code. At least the HTML is so beautiful. Everyone the comments should be. I don't think people count features that well. I always do that. That's what I recommend. That and Codecademy, but it's because I'm that age. I just decided that those things are good 8 years ago. Yeah, before free code count came out of time. But it's paid. I was in high school. What's going on next week? How many cups of coffee per day is your usual average? But is it this kind of coffee, or is it espresso, or is it? Like I checked this one. I gave 1 to 10 marks. Straight 10. Got like because it's more. Do extra. It's in the 10 class. It's not better. You know. If I would do that, everybody would be like, no, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's dirty.
Whatever I say.
Thank you for doing it. Very happy. And you'll be back for the next one.
For the last one. Not sure if I did not get an invitation.
It's like an open thing to.
I'll see.
Would appreciate if you had time to do it in JavaScript because Kit will be, painful no matter what.
Because it's good.
The Git is an acronym for agony.
Take that
Something.
But I don't think
I could potentially JS.
Yeah, that's just to be around. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be fun to start with because they will see the magic of JavaScript and make it count. Did you go ever know something and one last week?
How? What's this magical technology?
I'm wondering if I should go. I just have find some really low level teams. I didn't check the group, I guess so probably maybe there are some. I learned that we had classes every day. So our 10th class, they asked us to think like that. That was my homework for the weekend.
But you managed to do it.
I did not.
No.
No, I was one of those. Then I usually the Minesweeper, and I also couldn't do that. And there was another one. 3 years to do. 3 weekends in a row, different things. I was see the people. Similar, only it was intensive. So it was 3 months every day, 6 days a week, and Sundays were special. Saturdays were special as well. Yes, the idea was that you also have to work on Sunday. It's just not from the office because they want to go home. The teachers also want to have some break.
Also, that fact that I use a lot, I just read about them. For example, like legends, the legends, you know, very Karen
And the
feels
being cannot. It's a big board.
No, we can have the discussion about break for lunch.
I like the structure.
All right, so did everyone find some cool tags?
We would never use them. But yeah, there you go. Like I created this, and I know about the only the CSS, and like a lot of this tech I never use. Yeah,
Close to the superpower.
yeah, you are. Exactly, all this one great responsibility.
Okay, so how about every table gives me a tag and explains what it does and whether it is stop posting or you have to post it.
I'm sorry, would you want to?
Yes. So I like table, there is a tag and explain what it does and whether it is stop posting or you have to post.
Do we choose HTML tag? Yeah. Yeah. Can we say it right now?
Yes.
Yeah, my brother, you saw. Okay, now we start with the first tag. It's HTML tag. It basically shows what kind of document, what kind of language we're using. And to our browser with the HTML that shows the structure of our web page. And yes, of course, it has an ending tag, closing tag, and basically everything else that we write goes between HTML tags.
What if I don't have the CSS document to the HTML or CSS?
So CSS basically okay, HTML is like a structure. you cannot make a CSS without the structure.
No, just the tag itself, so instead of typing HTML, let's try CSS with the file of CSS. Will it work?
Well, yeah, of course, if you have the HTML documents like on the separately, if you've done it, and of course, yeah, you can do the CSS one. But
I was asking, but yeah, the answer is kind of like a impossible answer because I was asking an HTML document instead of writing HTML on the top.
yeah,
I want to write CSS and I put CSS code in the middle.
yeah.
It will work.
No, it wouldn't work, but I thought you say if I just have like CSS alone without HTML. Yeah, of course, it wouldn't work because it's like CSS completes the HTML.
Yeah, yeah. And it's only the HTML tag that you need to write. The other one.
If you actually wanted to do that, you could do the file tag.
Within the HTML.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can support the style of it, but it would be way easier to use like open another one, CSS, put all of the styles there. So our code and our program would be like more in order and like easier to understand what is going on. If we put all of it within one, it will be like very busy and not very quick.
This table.
What tags do you want?
Our table or them? Ah, yeah. Okay, so.
Oh, it's just to pick tag and then we can look at how much we're getting from children.
Yeah, I think we can talk about the div. So div is like container, like a huge container where you can put the different things inside, like sections and and then inside of that H1 to spread. Do you think?
This was like a concern or a box. It's not very much. Anyway,
Like you imagine it like.
yeah.
Do you think, you could like, what are the body of this? You have HTML and you go into the body, but you will not use any P's, any H1s and anything. You think you can just like have only divs and nothing else? Yeah, right. This is.
But you should maybe name them. Because then when you go into the test, you.
Yes, over here. We decided to choose the anchor. It's the tag. Oh, yeah. It's tag for a link. You use it with the href attribute and the link with the link. And user will have to click on it and follow
The same page or last page.
Exactly. And did anyone find a self-closing tag?
Red flag, red line.
Yes, image also.
So. Highlight text more black and bold.
No, because you have to wrap the actual content. Yeah, but the image, for example, there's no content that you need to wrap in between the tags. You say, okay, this is the source of the image, please give me the image. That's it. Yes. Okay, any questions?
Can I have
One question first, tag, data, I guess. It's like, it can contain data which will be automatically translated to the other language. Yeah, it's like, machine readable translation. Does it mean that if I specify that I need this information in like 3 different languages, it will be automatically translated for a period of time?
I don't actually know.
I think it's
Do you know that?
linked to the JavaScript internet that you send the data to that location and let's say the key value situation.
I need a Google. So, I want to find.
Yeah. Okay, great. So then if there are no further questions, then we're going to break for lunch and then we'll have a group photo opportunity.
Yes. Opportunity. So normally we eat lunch around 2. And I ordered. I hope I hit somewhat food preferences and stuff, no, but be a little bit flexible. And then right after, so like let's say 2:25 or something, or maybe 2:20 because we're starting lunch a little early. 2:20, we go outside and take group photo because we always forget. So now I'm doing it. Yeah, unless it's like bad weather, but we just go outside, take a picture. So we have it. Yeah, that's another way also. Yeah. Okay. So I'll bring it in. Yeah. Is that it? Are we going to eat here? Yes, we can eat wherever, like here or out there. Or outside. It's up to you. It's up to you. No, it's portable.
I think actually
So it's not your, we can say like, why do we need driving to car? Okay.
They should on the back. They should vegetarian on that. But I think if it does nothing, then it's chicken. But otherwise they have this. Guys, avocado on the left, chicken in the middle, and then a few tuna on the right. Okay? Avocado left, chicken middle, tuna right. Huh? You get But I wonder why they find someone. I know what it is. I know what it is. If I talk to the same language, then he's going to go. Please ask you using it. That's what you do. And you do it. This is usually. If you have a comparison, they're getting a lot more. The one thing that I find in Google is working, but it doesn't really matter. It's once. And I know okay, to do that, not really one, Google. Instead, just take H2, and then silent. How do you know that you don't have a piece of you need something bigger like H2? Or actually, in this case.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys.
You don't love, you don't love.
But it's how
It's almost like if you come to a complex place in the daylight, and then it's just like you see things differently. You feel how everything is just so
dialogue is like how did it sound? Are you from me? Close enough, I think that.
What do you get by? I figured, yeah. Oh, sounds like a video. No. Nice. Okay. Because I would never eat that much. It's based on the exploit what they pay for. Yeah.
More than you that was very, that was, but we are trying to get the answer.
But that's something I'm, in office, we don't have as much many, it's not a big thing, so there isn't actually a lot of bars to be discovered all the time, the same way that there is Copenhagen, it's a little bit, big message, the ones that. Yeah, it's places where you're also than 22 or something, you want to go out, then it's more than. What?
I'm another generation.
No, actually, oh. Yeah. But I don't think like when you go out, I don't feel like I'm trying out their ideas. I still remember when I was and that's what we can do. Because also it's one of the all of it didn't work because it's like when you go to a store and you can see a little group of 60-year-olds approaching a desk, I remember the thing that looking for no one is just doing it, but actually it's just so obvious. You can see they're trying to buy the black of the Did it go well for you? Teaching us a little bit
No, just do that.
upwards, having works on your
This is our folder, right? Very fine. I wouldn't really buy. Like, I'm thinking, like, I was thinking what would happen to me when I was like, I'm like, you probably would be able.
And when I go to job
Lots of people like 25 and they don't nothing and all of a sudden. Oh.
Yeah.
Great. Just
Oh, really?
Yeah,
We're on the same page. Yeah. In life, I really. Yeah. Well, it's like, yeah. Now it's also
Yeah, exactly. But it's something. I don't want to lose time, but yeah, it's right. Great.
Yeah, that's.
People always.
It almost you're not very expensive, something, that's the first thing, and I also that's, I didn't even thought about that. It's super, okay, it's a bit of, I think, I'm actually, I think the thing that makes you places actually, I've just been Erasmus. In France, I loved it, and that I love
Going to Paris and going
and I went there so many times. I met a lot of French people as I was thinking of often I've been there who are actually inviting me and why was I open, and I don't want to when you have that nice experience about well, then you also reproduce it, give it on, it's also something that goes on. So I actually try to do it both, but when it happens, you see that it's you forget about it, and try to be a good base, you don't know what people, so when you try that, it's a big one.
I have to,
Very
I have,
they don't know what it's like.
I would.
So I think that's something that things we have issue with. Now what is now
Right.
I think Russia from yeah, but also because it's just make a defense of the days, but we don't in a place where it's like there are in the social thing if there's something on your person too. But that's something it's the normal thing. That it would be a little extraordinary as well. Everyone just coming out against being only English. So when I'm in French people, one biggest advantage is that I do. So I can just jump into the conversation because that's something you can on the speaker language. Switch to a little, yeah. And I yeah. It's difficult because it's really it's just also just for nurses, I've experienced reading from other countries like and the fact that it's in their language to see it's not just because people they don't know that wants to but it's also not just and if you speak
So good.
trade off with the stage is such a small language where you can only use it for a day. But in language, yeah, you still don't know that it's raise my call, raise my order. Yeah. And if you don't speak to raise, they can read that. Oh, they're everything. Yeah, no idea. It's like just you actually and when you go Iran. No, okay. Why are you saying Iran? I'm saying Iran. Oh, sorry, I just felt like you said something else. So I know shit, this is a country I don't even know. Sorry. Okay, so I actually have one of my best friends, her father's religion from Iran as well. And sometimes she has the whole family comes to visit, but they stay for a while because I think for her it's difficult to come back. Or because she has kind of really divorced and her husband, so she, I think when she comes back, she goes for another. Uncomfortable because she's allowed to divorce.
I've seen you. That's why I was like, your face is really familiar. I watched the YouTube, and I think it was first started in Italy.
How do you like that? Because it's a pretty different world, I imagine.
I don't know. That's when I hear about it. So, yeah.
One minute. Say it.
That's
Yeah, that's the one. It's just too bad because it's too bad because there's some things, culture. You just, you never, there's something really interesting in Iran that you're missing out on because you can't have that again. But you have some safety and security and some more stable lifestyle and so on freedom. So it's just so bad that Iran just, things would change a little bit much worse or different. That's not actually all the nice things over there because you can't listen. Also, I have some friends who went to visit Iran for a travel there at some point, but it's just something you don't think of because it's not just it's a little bit more, you have to take some and that's just something that they're not beyond used to because states are used to. You're not worried about those stuff as well because you feel really safe actually as a woman there, and that's really really for me. And I have so much difficulty actually traveling to those countries where I have to prepare myself that I will have to have some land or something. Not just Iran, but that's completely provocative for me. But I'm sorry because actually it makes me not experience countries like Iran or countries in Africa, Morocco, or places that could be interesting to visit. It scares me a bit because I feel like I'm gonna be able to go alone. Yeah, very beautiful. Yeah, and very lot of institutions. You see, I would say the food culture as well is very specific.
Yeah.
If you just do it in your own home, then it will never be a big exciting situation with your friends because you're not living in Iran, so you won't have a lot of friends who are also going home to have on this traditional day or something. So it becomes less big when you're only doing it on your own. Because otherwise, everything in your family will not relative that you're something that is more. No, it's something that should be, yeah, but that's something you think because you already have an ability to look at making more West. I guess, you know, it's for people in power there, it's tremendous. It's really big, you know, to give people those rights. But for me as well, it's the things that they're fighting for are just so difficult to imagine not having that. But that's very important because that shows that, you know, it's a dangerous path to head down. So that continues, you know, all the powers will leave Iran and all the that also may just who are ambitious or who wants to do something, they leave, you know, like there are possibilities for them. Then it's already a bad strategy for having a good treatment with some, you know, strong culture actually before it's it's very hard. Yeah, because it must be sad. I've got a lot of troubles. Yeah, that's going to be interesting, but that's very different. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, but it's very it's actually, it's fun. But it's weird. Yeah, because it's like we're missing, you know, a city, if it's really fun, because they, you know, very much. No, in Copenhagen, you're more men actually. That's the big difference for you. Yeah, because you happens. So when you go for the cafe for, you know, in Swedes or immigrants working in the, so often they will speak English. So often I get, hi, maybe I have a cup. Okay, which one? You know, then they speak in English actually. So it's more, you know, or it's national too. I think Copenhagen feels a bit more like both because in Copenhagen it'll be more English speaking people of apart from that.
That's 24. It's 21 time. Come back. Yeah. So everybody, get up. Go right on.
It's great. Yeah, but then the you didn't get to 8%.
There we can go without, since we're going out, but we need to, like Ready to go, so I think. Oh my God, we are late. I don't know, let's leave it here for now and then we'll see. Where did you?
How is the weather? Same. Better.
Yeah,
On the winter, it would be a little bit more
yeah, it's more.
altitude.
Right, okay, so,
Sorry, you.
no, that's great, but now that we did all of that, we can just move on to CSS. And we already kind of alluded to what CSS is. It gives the style to our web pages. And there are actually multiple ways you can add CSS to a document, as it says here. So it can be an external style sheet, in which case you would need to link it in the head of the document. It can be inline styles, where you would actually embed style tags into the HTML document itself and then write your CSS inside there. And finally, you could also do element styling, which you might have seen before. Let's see how that would look. So for example, if I have an HTML tag, it's a bit disorienting to write like this. So if you have something going on here, then if I wanted to be like really forceful, I could do that much back. Okay, p style equals color red or whatever. Yes, so as you can see, it is extremely tiny, but it's also red. So maybe if I just do exactly what I told you not to do ever, and just use an H1 tag to make it a bit larger, you can see that I just took that element and then just shoved the CSS in like as it was. And can you see just immediately what the problem with this is? Yeah, so basically, if you do this, and then you have like a giant document, and then you suddenly are like, oh, you know, that text I actually want to change a couple of things about the styling. I suddenly want it to be blue, and then I would need to hunt down every single time I style the H1 like this. While if I have an external style sheet, I just go in, you know, locate this styling situation, change it. That's it.
But it's only have influence on this tag, not to the photos.
Yes. Yes, but the assumption, right, is that, for example, if you do want to make all the H1 tags red, then you would practically do like, sorry, it's a bit weird like this. So I have, let's imagine I have some content there, and then another H1 and another H1 and another one, and then suddenly I'm just like, okay, I actually don't want it to be red, and then I would need to go and edit all of these. But
You never use the style thing in HTML. You always style everything in CSS, or you do use.
so this, I would say, you would use this if you really have to. So for example, when would you really have to use this actually?
Daily being Jesus.
Okay.
It's like a framework.
Yeah, that's a bit of it, yeah.
sometimes you might use like some attributes like bits or images. Really rarely.
And then maybe if you're just absolutely sure that this is the only instance where you want to apply this, and you don't want to maybe write a separate selector for it.
Generally.
No. And then maybe if you're just customizing some other platform, whose code you cannot actually get to, it could happen if you're like building out something from a closed platform, and then it has some sort of framework that affects the CSS, and then you just need to be really forceful to get your changes across. So this would be one way of doing that. But generally, if you can avoid it, don't do it.
And if you, let's say in CSS, you put all the H1s to be red.
Yeah.
And then you want to change one in the middle. There you could use it, right?
You could, I
But
still
then
wouldn't. So
What will happen with the program? Which one will you do? Because I know that if you put something after, it's this one with the is valid and the other one not, or something like that.
yeah, so this is actually a conversation on specificity and how CSS works, because it's called cascading style sheets for a reason. Whatever comes last is going to win, except when that's not the case. So basically, if you just write CSS and maybe, you know, maybe I can do H1 font size pixels, and then that's easy peasy. But then when I suddenly do like H1, I target the same element, font size 10 pixels, then you can see that the second one won. Oh no, not the color.
But the thing is, if you change the color here.
Yeah.
And also here, which one wins?
The inline one. Because if I do this, then nothing happens, because that's also another attribute of specificity, that, you know, it goes like this, but also it's like the CSS that's in an external document or you know, in an inline block is going to be less important or less specific than what you would put in the style tags. And that's just another reason why it's a little bit dangerous to use the inline, because it's, you know, it might get a bit perplexing, like why is this not changing? And then sometimes, you know, you can be very adventurous and do like this. And as you can see now, I kind of jumped over the whole specificity issue and said that, okay, this is important, this is what you need to apply.
You never can change it, for example, teamwork, so somebody put important text, so it's not very specific text. So it's really
Yeah, so
to change it.
so the important, that's always wins,
Mm.
except yeah, exactly. Except if I want to be like really a pain in the butt here and do like color green important, and then suddenly the first important is not important anymore.
The latest one that you write down is more important than the previous one.
Yes. The last written down important is more important than the previously written down important.
You can change one of them with using a class,
Moral of the story.
like assigning.
Exactly, thank you. Yes. So if I wanted to change just one of these, what I would probably do is here say plus equals, what color do we want?
Orange.
Sorry, yellow came first. Fine. And then up here,
That's green.
Important.
Yeah, so we need to definitely not have these. Yep.
Yeah. With what?
Okay, now it's a bit bigger. So what I did, right, is I applied the class to the second one, and then here in the CSS, I'm styling it to be yellow, while everything else still has the inline styling of red. Okay, and we actually jumped a little bit forward, but in CSS, basically you have all of these selectors that point back to HTML, and then you have to can look at your HTML and see what you want to target. And we have the element selectors, such as the H1, the paragraph, the div, all these things that appear in a tag like this. And then we can also add classes and IDs. And let's say it's here. I want an ID. Okay, you know what is the current one? Orange. Fine. Orange heading, fine. And then up here, I do.
No, why can't see? Yes.
Right. So the difference between classes and IDs that IDs are supposed to be unique. So if you reuse them, then you really need to think about why that is. But classes you can use anywhere. So for example, an ID would be a good fit for footer because normally we only have one footer on the web page, or a header area, a nav bar, things like this. And in classes, we normally use it to style different sections. And in terms of the CSS, the classes names start with a dot, and then the IDs start with a hashtag. This is how we know which is which. And up in the HTML, you practically just write class equals or ID equals.
What does the practice use only all the time classes or also ID?
You will probably use classes more because the IDs are really reserved to those few elements that are really unique. Not necessarily. It's really just about the structure of the page. Like for example, you know, if you have something that is really unique on the page, then you can use an ID. But you can also, if you want to think about JavaScript, you can target classes just as easily.
As I know, we cannot use a class as a hyperreference link. For example, we have made a class for header, for example.
Yeah.
And we want to make a link. If you touch the button, the page moves for that link. We cannot use the class.
I'm not sure. Can you?
Page navigation?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
scroll
We need
the
to write
page. Yeah.
hashtag.
On the page. Yeah.
So you're still communicating that normally because IDs are, we cannot use them more often or a lot as we use class. So it would be better to use IDs in the footer. Is that what you're saying? Right?
Yeah, like the header, footer, and those elements that only appear in the app or the website one.
It all depends.
Depends on which part of your website is more important.
Just depends on the design and like when you get the block. So when you get the right thing, you can see what colors are used, which styling is used, and then you can just structure it. Like I would say we usually use classes.
Yeah.
It is really rare when you use IDs, and because like each element can have different classes, so you can reorganize them, group them. So I won't say we use IDs.
No. No. Use
For
ID
CSS.
not for this purpose, not for styling. So classes for styling, ID for area.
Oh no, ID also for styling. It's just okay. So this adds a bit of a complexity to it, but IDs, if an element has both a class and an ID, then an ID is more important. So if you style based on that, that's going to jump in the specificity queue.
But
Okay.
I also can have ID and class.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
But I think it's not specific.
Yes.
So it's like, for example, we have H1, the same class, and then we decide that one of them, we need another color, so we can assign an ID to the class
Oh, no.
additionally. And
No. In that case, if all of these had the class yellow heading, I would just use a different class.
But what if it's like complex, I don't know, paragraph, and we need just some, like we need a class as well, and we need to.
I don't know, use first child.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, if you have an example, I would.
Yeah, like. If it's not H1, but if it's for example, a paragraph. And we needed to have the same class like the other paragraphs.
Yeah.
But
Specific paragraph. If you want to change.
yeah, maybe you need to change something without changing the whole, all other, the same classes thing. We need to change just one of them, so we can assign class and then ID. And then by changing an ID, we will just change this exact thing that we.
For example, all paragraphs have to be blue.
Yeah.
But all styles have to be the same, like you.
Yeah.
And then you want the only one and change it to the other. But the all properties have to stay.
Like font size should be the same, but. we
Yeah,
just need to-
Yeah, I would just add another class.
Yes, okay.
Like it could,
Like the second class.
yeah, I could do like orange heading. So if I want it to be like orange, but I want it to be like small font size, then I would do small font, and then up in the CSS, I would just add the specification that if it has this class, then it should have a smaller font size.
And just put it down, yeah, that it works.
Yeah, it definitely needs to go below where I'm defining the stance for this, if there's a conflicting attribute. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So let's actually just look at this. And this is an exercise. So I'm going to give you 10 minutes.
Where did you go?
uh,
What did you got there?
so it's on the Notion, and then this is a code pen.
Okay.
So just this one. And then what I would like you to do is to take a look at the structure here and then look at the classes and see if there is something funny going on.
GitHub developer, sorry, but I don't have it.
Yes.
Well, you can
Go back to the Notion page. No.
work.
Yes.
Can I show you what the meeting?
Yeah, absolutely.
Just a second.
So for this exercise, some interesting points is like, if you look in the CSS, we see some orange and some pink, but we don't see it rendered. So that's,
So you want us to make it work?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The answer is like natural programming. And what it does is that it jumps to the part of the page that has the content.
Что у нас может быть?
Yeah. So if I have understood it, there's one ID here, or there's just one ID. Now, where's the blue? Blue is blue, no problem. Now, hello world, one, hello, it's here. This one, but you should use glue. Yeah. Because the class is blue. Yeah. What do you mean? Yeah. So we'll consider this issue after.
You change here and.
Yeah, but we need, but we need to pull the people to do right. Yeah, but blue should be blue. We need blue to be blue. But it's back from. I want to do this. Yeah, but yours is not as well. Yeah, because we need blue to be blue. You know what? So we have a class of blue here, and then we have a thin class here, so it could be blue, but it's not blue because you want more. This is okay, so we'll blue, but yeah, it should be. Hello.
But another reason it doesn't.
No.
Upward.
Because I can make a lot of games.
What did you do right now? I don't really did exactly the way I'm doing it. You forget the same. I always forget the same. Yeah, I try to. I always. And then you put the word. Then now what is preaching? Like all of the content. And it changes code. We don't use the same. I mean, I changed it on the 17.
Yeah.
So I think it's all it's blue, right?
Yeah.
Just change to red.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, it's changing from the because
Yeah.
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 It's great. Yeah. Wow. The back
Like the first one of the.
Yeah.
But then, but it's not. But. Once or twice the element. It's like. This is the first child, you have to balance. Another thing, like, don't have the same, right, then that would be. Yeah. And this is like. And then we're
Yeah, I see it. You said with the blue. Yeah, this would, yeah.
And so first, second, and it's like connecting that.
Yeah.
First and could be anything. So basically when you write this after.
Maybe this one is because we know we want to. So. Yeah. So this is probably not changing so I'll just give John who had the second child. Then I don't think in this case you don't actually have they have one child. You can indicate where yeah, where's the the one that you want. This one. That means that this ends child for but you only use one. Why are you not really, but I will just change this to
So I have to create here on the same day.
I have one for the stores
I think what the rainbow is orange.
Like, you know.
Right now we have
All right, should we look at this example? Is everyone happy with that? So how did this one go?
this one was a little bit trickier.
Yes. Why?
Why was it tricky?
Because we made it tricky, that's why. So so is this one everyone's favorite or is it? Okay. Can anyone explain why there is no pink on this page?
Because one it should be.
The what?
Child one.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't have a.
Because we
second
didn't have a
child
second child. We can just confess.
Exactly. And if I change this, it is going to show up. But I think what the tricky part here is that you might think that it looks for the first child of the container, but no, because it looks for the first child that happens to have the class Hello World container. Okay, so this is a nice little gotcha for you. And then how about this orange? Where is the orange?
Yeah, we don't have any orange. When we put IDs.
Yeah, where you write the ID.
That's right. Maybe.
Yeah, I put it in the paragraph.
Okay, fine. Let's do that then.
Do they need to discuss both rotation?
You have to move less.
And it's on the top, no? Because orange it's over the second it's like hello world dark blue. Yeah, so
Yeah,
because
so-
orange a little bit, yeah, down.
Or maybe we can write,
You can just remove it.
right, it's spent less blue and after ID orange and it is the word.
This one?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
That looks better. So basically it's this one that kind of killed our vibe here. And then everything else was kind of straightforward, right? Or was there any other thing that was a bit weird, like this green?
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And then this is not only lower, but also more specific because you're adding like more selectors to it. So it's actually like a double kind of hit to the whole
If
thing.
we even choose remove blue, so it also be blue because it's
This one?
straight. Yeah. No, not this. And plus one blue here in this.
Also, I mean this?
Yeah.
Well, it is kind of.
What if just changing span class blue for span class green and name of green and actually make it green?
It doesn't matter because ID have a higher priority
Yeah.
plus.
Yep.
The ID is orange there.
Yeah, so maybe just remove orange.
That will work.
Just change color of color in orange ID.
Yeah, it's
Or
like,
you can just send CSS is right and forth.
or I could just start writing inline styles here. The possibilities are endless. It's,
That's what I think.
yeah,
And forth.
Yes.
excellent. Excellent. Okay. So we hopefully figured this out.
That's very important in CSS.
They're like, I did it, it worked.
By the way, I also tried to write it for, but it doesn't work. I don't know. I don't know, like, it's, color blue, bottom, hello.
But she comes, we're now getting to use it. Like the spoon doesn't go around your head, it goes into your mouth. It's right there. This one. One important tip. If you write something and it works, never change it.
Yeah.
It's like that. That's what I did. Sometimes the computer itself doesn't know why it's working. It just does. There's no way, there's no need to look for it.
But then, yeah. And then we can put it like that, yeah. All right. So. Basically, if you want to see styles out in the wild, then you can use this amazing tool that we call DevTools. And this is actually very helpful because you can just kind of click here and then go like inspect. And then here, I mean, don't mind the classes, it's a bit disorienting, but here I can basically play around with the HTML and see what element has what class. And over here on the side, which I actually can't even see, I can try and apply some new styles. So for example, color. Weird. Ugh.
I'm sorry, but that's on Mac. How can we get it on Windows?
Yeah, it, okay, so everyone has it? Can you try? Because the next exercise, I'm going to give you 5 minutes and you will kind of click around and try to make something interesting on this page. So you can, you know, change colors, change fonts, anything that you want. And then we can take a look.
Not necessarily what you I want to do is, I think you have if you were to put and you Safari. Yeah.
This is.
It's so better.
Yes, I
This one. What's yours? Well, it looks good.
Yes, but a dome is by far the. So. Some of this, okay, this is R is doing very bad. And almost.
What have you done? I think. This little line type, I don't really like that one.
I don't know what I'm gonna do. Decide what I have on that office. That's the- that would be more, okay, well, it was-
So. Are we going to get some homework for this? Why did I say it?
You have to say it.
You're gonna say it.
And you know, but you know what's excellent is that you actually have the link to the homework up here. And also for the prep. So
Is it the HTML one?
Yes. You also have the last.
oh yes.
We have homework and preparation. Homework is not the preparation.
No, but it would be really awesome if you get a habit of doing homework today on the Sunday after class, if you have the time and you have the possibility, and then you can give it for correction. Homework review.
So we should deliver it as well.
Yeah, you put it on the Slack. So for the next couple of weeks, you will put the homework.
There are
on.
some instructions if you open homework link. But you basically just send the link to the section.
Online.
Yeah, so I put this in the Notion, and this is not homework. This is just for fun, you know, it helps you with like figuring out the selectors without having all the burden of actually having to look at actual code. So as you can see, plate and pickle, these are not semantic HTML tags. But you can see the structure, and then up here you would write the CSS, and then it's just nice little practice if you have time. So yeah. Okay, so how's it going with the dev tools?
But you should actually accept that. It's just, you just gave
Okay, I hope that went well. And we have just a couple more things to discuss. First of all, bit of a style guide when you are doing the homework, like how should HTML and CSS look, because these, you know, the indentation doesn't really matter for the computer, but it matters to the people who read the code. So if it is at all possible, then please try to have this kind of hierarchy. So from here, I can immediately see that, you know, this is the outer div, and then these are the children, and then, and so on and so forth. And same thing with the CSS, because this is also perfectly valid CSS. It's just starting to get a bit annoying to look at. So, you know, sometimes we write code very fast and try to hack together things very fast, but I think it's a good habit to get into, to just look at your code in the end and then see if it's styled well, in a sense. Hmm? Yeah, that's always a good idea. And also, I mean, you're probably not going to use CodePen for this, but this actually has the capability of like format CSS, and I think there are such plugins in VS Code as well. So maybe take a look at that. And then if you have multiple elements or multiple selectors that have the same kind of styling, then you can just kind of group them together in a sense. So here we have this hello colored blue, and then down here another color blue, but then another selector. If I wanted to, I could write it like so. And then in this way, I can very easily find everything that I styled in the same way. So this is also just good practice to kind of get into. And when it comes to naming classes, it's good if it kind of sort of makes sense. So here, this ID orange, this makes sense because we are actually trying to color something orange. But if I have a class named this, then I don't think there are a lot of living people on this earth who would be happy to see this in CSS or HTML, or even necessarily be able to identify if all of my class names are this. And it's also nice for future me, because if I have, very easy to understand class names, then I know exactly what I did and what I was trying to go for. Yes. And then there's one more topic that we should briefly cover, and it's the box model. And that's something that, again, I'm just going to kind of sort of tell you about it now, but it is probably going to be the source of many gotchas during your career. So let's take a look. All right. So basically, an element in this context is made up of the size of multiple things. So you have the element itself. On top of the element, or like around the element, you have the padding. And then outside of the padding, you have the border. And then outside of the border, you have the margin. And then basically, you can see that this is the content. Here I have a bunch of padding. Here's my border. Here's my margin. And this example actually shows quite well what happens if you're not careful, because this is absolutely overflows from the parent container. And this is where box sizing comes into play. So this is something that I would say look up if it comes up. But basically, most of the time we would go like, okay, box sizing, border box, and then it's going to be contained and everything is happy. Okay, so what's the difference? So here I'm having a box sizing content box where I am putting this child container into the parent container, and it's nice and constrained and everything. But if I keep the same content box sizing, and then suddenly I also add a border here, and then some padding, then it's going to overflow, because I am practically sizing according to the size of the content itself. And then if I just go ahead and take this into account and use the border box sizing, then it remains inside of the container. And actually, if we use the DevTools again, there's a little nice thing here. Not there, but here on the side, where this practically shows you the box model and how it plays out. So here you can see how big the element itself is, how much padding is on it, how big is the border, and how much margin do you have on the sides. Okay, so if you want to, you can just take a look at a couple of websites and see how this all plays out. And when you're making your own homework and your own CV website, then just think about the fact that this might come up at one point in time. So, yes. Yeah.
One question, would you please show us an example of that CV website that you want us to do? It would be really helpful. We have like a visual of it.
Yeah, good question. We do have some from like the previous year, but I would need to ask if we can share some of those. But I think we can just put it in the Slack after the class when people, yeah. And then you were asking.
Should we always use the border box, not content box?
I think most of the time. Yeah.
Should we connect normalize?
Hmm?
Normalize?
Normal?
Yeah, it's like the sets for the border box.
I'm not thinking so. Question, was there a question? Yes. Mhm. Oh no, it's just because. Right, so it is going to allow you to move forward if you complete the exercise on the side. For example. Yeah, yeah. Okay, but actually that was all I wanted to say today. Let's do a wrap up. Does anyone have any questions for today?
Should we just send the homework to Slack,
Yeah.
to our class, right?
Yes, the class 24.
Yes.
But everyone doing okay? Brain still intact?
So we think,
Okay.
something like,
For sure.
There is instructions about how to do it and if you go into the homework. Yeah, I think it's if you want to go to
Teamwork for the homework. Should we? Can we do like a teamwork, working together to do the homework?
you can work together, but everyone needs to submit an individual.
Okay.
But actually, working together is very much encouraged.
How many do you want to work with me? That's all. All of you send me your codes. I will do a review on your code.
Yeah, pretty much. Yes.
yeah, thank you.
Yes, thank you for paying attention. Yeah.